most people think of Ray Allen as a move without the ball guy, not really creating a lot of opportunities for himself off the dribble. But in this first shot clip, we do see that Ray Allen indeed does create space, and certainly did a lot more as he was a younger athlete, but even now in this particular video, which is a few years old here. But anyway, we see him coming from his right to his left. He plants a left foot hard right here, and then pulls back with a crossover between the legs, brings it back through the legs. Now we can see the defender is way off balance, jumped way back because he thought he was going hard to the basket. But now this is what Ray Allen's career has been about, is creating space, whether it's been moving without the ball, off the dribble, however it's been. Now he's got the space. But it's this point right here, if I stop the video right there and look at what Ray Allen is doing, his feet are planted, comfortable width apart, a little bit narrower than hip width in this particular stance. But what is consistent about Ray Allen is he does the same thing every time. If you watch shot after shot after shot, it's the same mechanics, the same form, whether he comes off a dribble, comes curling off a screen, a flare out, a pop out. However he gets that ball, catch and shoot, it doesn't matter. Once he gets to this spot right here, it's the same form every time. And that consistency, that repetition is what makes him a great shooter. And you don't get there by just watching somebody else do it. This takes hours and days and years and thousands of repetitions of concentrating on doing the same thing every time. All right, lots and lots of form shooting, and then progressing into game time shots and game time speed, and keeping that same form, that same mechanic throughout the whole training process. Okay. So we're going to point out not only the feet, but let's look at the knees. Knees are bent. He's bent at the waist, and his elbow is in a 90-degree bend. His eyes are on the target. So Ray Allen is in what I call a coiled position, getting ready to explode upward. His feet are the first energy gathering point right here. And there's a transfer of energy that takes place, much like a high jumper who approaches that high jump bar, bends that leg, that leg that's going to plant and propel up. But the rest of the body is involved in that transfer of energy. Otherwise, he's not going to get up very high. And so one of the most key, a lot of athletes will get the feet, the knees, and the waist, and they'll be in that coil position, but timing on getting that energy finally transferred into that shooting arm is probably one of the most missed links, so to speak, in shot form. All right, let's take a look at that a little bit closer here. As I pointed out, Ray Allen's got a nice 90-degree bend in his arm. Ball is in the shot pocket. As he picks it up off the dribble, ball is straight out in front, a little bit lower than waist height at this point, but that's okay. Elbow in that 90 degree, and now he's going to begin to harness and transfer energy from this point forward. As he goes upward, we're going to see, actually before he goes upward, if you'll take a good close look at his knees, here comes that second foot into that plant. Now watch the ball and his knees. See his knees bend a little bit further even as that ball is being raised. And the ball's not being raised because of the elbows bending. It's that shoulder pivot motion. See, a lot of shooters will bend the elbow and they'll miss a bunch of the energy that they can harness with the shoulder pivot motion. And what's going to happen from this point forward is that as Ray begins to uncoil and energy begins to transfer upward, he's going to be able to pull a lot of that energy into the shooting arm with this shoulder pivot motion. All right, that's what's going to pull most of that energy. That's what allows sometimes shooters that don't appear to be muscular. 150-pound shooters can shoot with what appears to be great ease from well beyond the 3-point range. Okay, from long distances and it's great mechanics and transfer of energy. This link right here in the shoulder pivot motion upward, is one of the most important links to get that energy transferred into that shooting arm, and then finally into that follow-through fingertip release. All right. So let's follow the shot on up just a little bit further. As Ray Allen, there's that shoulder pivoting upward. See, elbow still in a 90 degree at that point. So there hasn't been much elbow load or energy. Like I say, a lot of shooters, they'll bend that elbow without much shoulder rotation, and they have to pull that ball way back and bend their elbow even further to get sort of a slingshot style shot, because they haven't taken advantage of transferring all the energy that their body has harnessed from the floor and transferred up through the body. So that shoulder pivot motion is key. Raising the ball up out of the shot pocket, straight line up, as Ray Allen does, right up into the shot platform. Shot platform, he's still got that almost a 90 degree, a little bit further back than 90 degree, which is just fine. But it's such a quick release because there's no wasted motion here. Plant, shoulder pivot motion up, he can explode straight upward, and then finally the release of the ball before he reaches the peak of his jump. And we can't see it real good in this, but releasing that ball before the peak of your jump is the final test to see how much energy you've taken advantage of, or harnessed, or transferred into that the fingertip release. Okay, the wrist snapping through, but the final test is, are you releasing that ball before the peak of your jump? I see a lot of young shooters, they start to jump a little bit higher, and they get in a bad habit of shooting on the way down. So you'll want to videotape yourself. Make sure you're getting good shoulder pivot motion, that timing upward even as you're bending down. That begins to pull all that stored up energy that lower body's creating. And then finally jumping vertical, straight up and down, and extending before the peak of your jump so that you can get lots of energy into the shot, and shooting with great range and better consistency. Okay? Here we're going to see Ray Allen coming off of a screen, curling out to the top. He's going to catch the ball and land in a hop stop. But watch his feet. They're off the floor right now. And look at the ball. Okay, ball's in the shot pocket. Okay, now, even before he fully lands, that ball's already on its way up. Okay, and it's not elbow bending that's causing the ball to move upward. Once again, it's this shoulder. This shoulder to elbow is going to pivot upward till finally he ends up somewhere up here. Okay, shoulder to elbow, and of course the ball up above that, and getting ready to thrust towards the basket out of his shot platform. Okay, let's take a look at it. Okay, ball's coming up. As he's landing, those knees bend a little bit further to even create more energy. Then he begins to straighten up. Once he begins to straighten up, there's a rapid movement, a rapid pivot movement in the shoulder, even more rapid than it started out, upward. But he doesn't have to pull it way back because he's got all the energy. He's got tons of energy loaded into that shooting arm. So he can go up and simply pull the trigger. Okay, right here he's got it. Ray Allen tends to bring it back a little bit farther. Some shooters keep that 90 degree bend. He's a little bit further than that, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's obviously, he's one of the greatest shooters of all time. So study it. But the thing I want you to write down and look at your own, have somebody look at the shot, videotape it, get it to us. We'll take a look at it, analyze it. Is energy transfer. Okay, you got to have proper form. And we're not even talking about all the other things that Ray Allen's doing, right? Feet pointed at the target, eyes on the target, shooting elbow in. So many other things he's doing. We're talking about energy transfer on his shot and many of the other great shooters that we're analyzing. Okay? Like I said at the beginning, great shooters shooters in general are looking for space. So anytime you have space, whether you catch and shoot, you've come off a pick, you've created space. All right, your teammates can create space for you, or you can do as Ray Allen does on this particular shot. He steps in and pulls back. Okay, defender goes way off of him, pulls back. Now he's got time, and he's going to plant. He's actually going to plant that left foot first, the offside foot first, and then bring that right foot around for a 1-2. And we can see even before he lands that right foot, ball's in the shot pocket, but look what happens to the ball. Once again, that's a common denominator with Ray and many other great shooters, is that ball already begins, that pivot motion, that transfer of energy is already taking place as that first leg is bending, the left leg. And then by the time the other leg sets, and by the way, the 1-2 stop is going to get you a much quicker shot as a general rule than a hop stop. All right, but there goes the pivot motion upward, straight up into his platform. And when I say straight up, from straight on, if we were to view this straight on, the ball would appear to move in a straight line from in front of Ray all the way to his shot pocket. Obviously, side view, there's a kind of a little semicircle motion because his shoulder is pivoting and his elbow is staying in that 90-degree bend all the way up. Okay, again, it's kind of that high jumper motion all the way up to get all the strength, all the energy's loaded in that shooting arm, and now he reaches his platform, time to pull the trigger just before the peak of his jump. Shoots with great range, accuracy, quick release, fantastic athlete to study if you want to learn how to become a great shooter. All right, so videotape your shot, take a look at it, get it to us if you'd like. We'll analyze it, and just keep shooting that basketball.